Any contaminated food could be deadly, but there are some foods that require extreme attention because they can be fatal to humans if not properly controlled or prepared. However, this does not prevent the most temerarious from tasting some foods, perhaps because thrill seekers consume something potentially lethal. In this video, we're going to see 5 foods that could kill you. Pepper X. Pepper X is the hottest pepper in the world, even if this record has not yet been confirmed by the Guinness Book of Records, unlike the Carolina Reaper, which in 2017 took first place with a spiciness of 2.2 million on the Scoville scale. The Scoville scale measures the spiciness of peppers by assigning a score in Scoville units, also indicated by the abbreviation SHU. The scale goes from 0 to 16 million, based on the amount of capsaicin, a chemical compound that stimulates the nerve endings under the tongue, causing that typical burning sensation. A value of 0 corresponds to sweet pepper, while a value of 16 million corresponds to pure capsaicin. Pepper X comes from the United States and was conceived by Ed Curry, the creator of the Carolina Reaper himself, and has a spiciness that has never been achieved anywhere in the world before. It has an intensity of 3.18 million Scoville units, and it's hard to imagine using it to flavor a dish. And instead, Pepper X has become the ingredient of a new coveted sauce, the last dab, sold online at a cost of $20, and that only a few people will have the courage to try. Sannakji. It is a Korean dish that belongs to the category of raw fish dishes, but with one particularity: the animal served is still moving. Those who have had the courage to taste it describe an extremely delicate flavor, but with a slimy and chewy consistency. The Sannakji is made up of a type of octopus that is smaller in size than the giant octopus. It is typically killed before being cut into small pieces, and then served still alive along with sesame seeds and sesame oil. Neurons in octopus tentacles show reflexes that persist even when they no longer receive signals from the brain. For this reason, residual nervous activity causes the tentacles to move on the plate. It is a potentially deadly food, because once the octopus has been ingested, its suckers present on the tentacles can stick to the mucous membranes of the throat or mouth, causing the person to suffocate. It is important to chew the tentacles well, to avoid ingesting too large pieces that could stick together. Some episodes of suffocation have been reported, and according to some data, it causes 6 deaths per year. Ackee. Mother Nature provides us with an infinite number of fruits and vegetables, which give delicious colors and flavors. However, there is a rather particular fruit known as ackee. It is a fruit originally from West Africa, imported and grown in Jamaica, Haiti, and Cuba. It is also called the vegetable brain, because only the internal part, which looks like a brain, is edible. One of the typical dishes of Jamaican cuisine is ackee and saltfish, a unique dish based on cod that is stir-fried with pieces of the ackee fruit and tomatoes, onions, garlic, and spices. It is typically served for breakfast and is considered the Jamaican national dish. If the fruit is eaten when it is not yet ripe, it can be potentially poisonous and can cause severe food poisoning, also known as Jamaican vomiting disease. This is because the immature fruit of the plant contains hypoglycine, a vegetable toxin which, if taken, has a hypoglycemic action, that is, it dangerously lowers the concentration of glucose in the blood. It is an intoxication that can cause vomiting, but can also lead to coma or even death. Ackee fruit poisoning caused 271 cases between 1980 and 1991, and more than 50 deaths in 2001. Fugu. Fugu is also known as puffer fish and is a historic dish of Japanese cuisine. It is served in the most refined restaurants, and having it on your plate means having to pay between $125 and $155. It is an extremely poisonous fish that possesses a lethal dose of tetrodotox sand within its organs, particularly in the liver, ovaries, intestines, and skin. It is not the organism of the puffer fish that produces poison, but some bacteria that live in symbiosis. It is one of the most potent neurotoxins known in the world, even 100 times more toxic than potassium cyanide, and there is no effective antidote. Consuming a small fragment of the liver of the puffer fish, the consumer feels a numbness of the lips and tongue. If the dose of tetrodotoxin is high, on the other hand, paresthesia is felt in the face, arms, and legs. The toxin blocks nerve conduction, causing paralysis of the diaphragm, seizures, cardiorespiratory block, and death. A small mistake in its preparation is enough, and it could result in the death of the customer. It therefore takes a specific preparation to neutralize the poison and prevent it from contaminating the dish. In fact, it has been established that by law the cook who prepares fugu must have a special license issued by the Ministry of Health after having taken a written and practical exam. In Japan, it is forbidden to serve this fish at the emperor's table, precisely because its consumption could be fatal. In Italy, however, the consumption of puffer fish has been prohibited by law since 1992. In the 1980s, it seems that fugu made a victim among the diners at every dinner, while between 1983 and 2006, the episodes of poisoning decreased significantly, registering only 23 cases. Manioc. Manioc is also known by the name of cassava and yucca, and is a plant native to South America, which is grown for its edible tuberized roots, particularly in the tropical zone of Africa and Asia. It is the third largest source of energy for human consumption in the world, after maize and rice. Once harvested, the cassava tubers are subjected to various processing stages in order to obtain tapioca, a starchy product that comes in the form of small white balls, similar to cereal flour. It has a very high energy power because it consists almost exclusively of complex carbohydrates, such as starch, and has a rather low protein and lipid content. However, this tuber hides a potentially lethal ingredient inside. Cassava roots, peels, and leaves must not be eaten raw, because they contain cyanogenic glycosides, such as linemarine and lodestrolene, plant substances produced by some types of plants. Once ingested, the action of enzymes and intestinal flora decomposes them, producing hydrogen cyanide. Symptoms of acute cyanide intoxication cause dizziness, vomiting, convulsions, paralysis, and coma, to death within a couple of hours of ingesting the toxin. To consume cassava safely and avoid becoming intoxicated, it must undergo some processes, such as soaking it in water for several days, drying it in the sun, and cooking it properly to help eliminate cyanide. A consumption of cassava for several weeks, not treated properly, can cause the onset of cancer. It is a severe crippling neurological disease that affects the legs more than the arms, where the patient is usually able to stand, but is forced to walk on tiptoes with stiff legs. It is a form of endemic paralysis that occurs in remote villages of some countries of tropical Africa, where there is little knowledge of the procedures necessary to eliminate the cyanogenic compounds from cassava roots. And would you eat a dish that could potentially kill you?